Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, we're here for the now second half of the season. All-Star break is now over. So we'll kind of hop into do a quick recap of the All-Star game. Maybe just some of the headlines coming out of there if you didn't bother watching it. Again, I saw maybe the first few innings. I really had no interest at all, as well as the home run derby. I mean, I stopped being interested in that like 15 years ago. But nevertheless, get you caught up that and again preview the start of the second half of the season. So make sure you subscribe to this podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, as well as go over to the YouTube channel, Section 420 Talkin Yankees. Subscribe there as well. So Yankees kind of, take 2 out of 3 there in Baltimore, kind of, at least end the first half of the season on a little bit of an upswing as it was really stumbling late June into July there. Again, take 2 out of 3 against the first place Baltimore Oriole team, and now just find themselves at 58-40, just one game back in the AL East standings. Again, would have been awesome if they could have held on into that final game there and get the complete sweep, but nevertheless, I think at that point you'll take that. And then you head into this All-Star break there with some players, mainly like pitchers like Rendon, for example. I think he could definitely use a little bit of a break there. Well as, some of the other guys. I mean, Stroman, you can see maybe perhaps, as they say with him, he struggles in the second half of seasons. And maybe, he was, the innings and stuff was finally catching up to him a little bit. Not saying he's been terrible as bad as Rendon, but you can see, he could probably definitely use a few extra days off as well there. And the Yankees will kick off the second half of the season with the ace, Garrett Cole, the way it should be. So that's a 4-game series against Tampa. And then, of course, right after that, we go right into the second half of the Subway Series, this time the Yankees hosting in the Bronx. As for the All-Star game itself, I think a lot of the headlines had to do with the stuff off the field more than on the field. And, of course, during the home run derby, you had the drunken national anthem being sung by, I guess her name was Ingrid Andreas. I have no familiar. I think obviously the game was down in Arlington, Texas, so I think they tried to have like a bit of a country western flair to this. So she absolutely butchered that, and we heard that. Yes, we found out that she actually gave that while drunk. So I guess I don't know if that was a tribute to Roseanne Barr or something like that. But nevertheless, at least baseball cleaned up its act on the second game, the actual All-Star game itself. I guess that was another gentleman, Cody Johnson. Again, I have no idea who these people even are. At least cleaned it up and gave a clean national anthem for the actual All-Star game. Now for the game itself, I guess if you're a Yankee fan, you always want to see how your team does, how your guys do. Judge, of course, got pretty much all the hype going into this. Of course, he's the number one vote getter. But in the actual game itself, didn't do too much. You ended up going 0 for 2. But the other representative, at least on the field, there, Juan Soto, getting a big knock in the game, driving in 2 runs. So being part of that. And the American League went on to win by a score of 5-3, and I guess that's the American League's 10th win out of the last 11 All-Star games being played. So the American League just continues to be dominant in this, I guess, quote-unquote exhibition type game. And a lot of other complaints, other than the national anthem, were the actual uniforms itself. Traditionally, teams would just wear their uniform as they normally do and represent their team. This time, they try to do what they kind of used to do back in the early 90s, where everyone would have the same uniform. So you have an American League uniform and a National League uniform. I guess the design of it, at least the American League design of it, kind of looked like a bit of a throwback to the Negro League type uniforms, and then the National League uniforms looked more like almost looked like the Marlins uniforms, like from back in the 90s. So it was kind of a little funky there. So it was kind of like throwback to the Negro Leagues versus like some new retro 90s thing. I don't know what they were going there, but it seemed like not too many people were happy with it. And I guess Rob Manfred kind of admitted that maybe wasn't the best idea, and they'll probably go back to the traditional of this teams wearing their uniforms. So, for example, in that case, Judge and Soto would be wearing the pinstripes because the American League would have been the home team there in Arlington. So that's that. Now, Clay Holmes, obviously was added to the All-Star game, but he actually ended up not pitching. So, I think if you're a Yankee manager and you'd actually rather have it that way, you're always worried about your pitchers being used in these types of games there, which again, they really don't mean anything, actually. I remember Cole pitched, he started off last season, but of course the Yankees were kind of, even though it was only the All-Star break, you kind of figure they're out of it. So, it wasn't really as big a deal of Cole being used there in the opener. But Clay Holmes wasn't used in this game. And really, it was almost textbook for the American League. Basically, each pitcher just pitched 1 inning each, and then Emmanuel Clase was handed the ball to close out in the 9th, and again he sealed the 5-3 win for the American League. And again, the game itself was kind of like nothing dramatic, nothing great. It was probably the headlines about off the field, mainly the butchered national anthem during the home run derby, and of course those ugly uniforms, which people didn't seem to be too happy with. You'd like to see Judge do something, maybe just because it's Judge, he's the center of attention. But you can't just say like, all right, be good this game there. So. that is that. So now the team will, again, start the second half of the season. That'll be Friday night at home. The Yankees start in the Bronx there. Garrett Cole gets the ball. Not too much stuff with the moves in it. So they officially took Scott Efros, who's been battling his way back now. He's officially off the 60-day IL, now been added to the AAA Scranton roster there. So at some point, we'll probably see him up here in the Bronx quite soon in order to make room for him. Yorbit Vivas, who just was up here for a brief cup of coffee, getting sent back down to AAA. So, thanks for stopping by. In fact, I don't even think I mentioned him during any of these podcast episodes just because it was just so non-consequential, it wasn't worth mentioning. But he's still kind of, looking at Giancarlo Stanton come back. So supposedly he's been running on the treadmill. They gave him one of these platelet shots, which, I remember a couple of years ago, those kind of dicey. Some people are doing that up in Canada, and they think it was some sort of form of PED use, but nevertheless, I guess they're doing the clean version here in the States. No actual timetable when he's going to come back, and they probably figure he's going to at least need a minor league game or two just to, just get his swing in there. So probably he's not going to come play for the Yankees. He'll probably make a quick stop probably in AAA just for a game or two, just test out the swing there. Other than that, you're battling Trevino. He's still dealing with that strained quad, which he got when he slid in home in Baltimore there. Again, no really timetable on him, but he was officially on the 10-day IL. And then I guess the last one, not least, was Ian Hamilton dealing with the lat issue. They say sometime in the second half of the season, so maybe August he'll be back. And again, that's probably why the reason they're trying to rush Scott Efros in to take his spot there. But when it comes to trade deadline, though, I'm pretty certain Cashman's going to do something, though. I just don't think he has quite the bullpen together. You're getting good stuff out of Mike Tonkin, getting some good stuff out of Tim Hill, okay-ish, but I don't think it's really solid where he wants it to be. And Luke Weaver's been great, but they've also been abusing him, using him a lot there. So, he's going to need some help there as well. So I definitely expect a move there with that as well. Something to do with third base. Unless the DJ just turns it on, which we've been waiting on for 3.5 years, and I don't think it's going to happen. And JD Davis, again, he's still on the IL with a bit of a stomach bug there, but they really haven't given a ton of playing time, and I kind of mentioned that on the previous YouTube episode. It's like, all right, you brought him in here, you know what he could do. He's probably, at least offensively, a better option than DJ. Give him some playing time, let's give him a shot here, but he may not even get that opportunity. It seems like the relegated is to use him against lefties and maybe have him be a weapon off the bench there. So if that's the case, then again, expect Cashman to probably look around for a full-time, legit, good third baseman who could actually, hit the ball beyond just fielding there. So that's the episode. All-Star American League wins 5-3, and we ramp up the season and start part 2. Catch you next time.